Good morning. I wanted to show you a few things today before you get started on the work, and I would like to take you through some notes before you venture off and complete chapters 2 and 3 notes on your own. Okay, so I'm here in the stream of our distance learning Google Classroom, and I want to point your attention to a couple things here. I have a lot of kids who have not yet picked up the book. It was okay for chapters 1 through 3 because it was in the Nearpod, but it was not, it's not going to be in the Nearpod every time. So I've given you a PDF of the novel. The whole novel is here. If you're somebody who prefers to read on your iPad, you can read it off of here if you would like, or you can read it in the book. It's up to you. But if you're ever without your book and you have reading to do, that PDF is always going to be there. I've also given you some essential questions for our unit here. And these are also going to always be posted in your stream. We're going to be talking about these as we continue through our unit. And pretty much all of our discussions throughout our Long Walk to Water unit are going to surround culture, time, and place. So I've given you the definitions of those at the bottom of this sheet. Culture is the beliefs and lifestyles that a particular group of people practice. The time is a specific period in which someone lives, and a place is the specific geographic location in which someone lives. And we know that our time and our place are really important because Naya and Salva are in different times. Naya is in 2008 in Southern Sudan, and Salva is in 1985 in Southern Sudan. So our place for right now is the same, but our time is different. Also, we know that Salva takes a journey across the continent of Africa. So we also know that his geographic location is going to change. So we have to pay attention to that as we read. So back up here to our essential questions. The first one, how do culture, time, and place influence the development of identity? How do those things make Salva or Naya who they are? We're going to talk about those as we read. The second bullet, how do individuals survive challenging environments? We know that Salva is going to be traveling by foot. How does he survive? What keeps him going? What does he think about? And we'll have to pay attention to those same things when we see Naya's journey as well. The third bullet, how does reading from a text, or different texts, how does reading from different texts about the same topic build our understanding? You're going to have some nonfiction articles this week that will help you build up some background knowledge. The first one you should have read yesterday. It was about the Sudanese warfare and why they've been fighting and how they've been fighting and how they deal with war for so long in their country. And later on in the week, you're going to have a reading about the necessity and the importance of the cows to the Dinka culture and what they represent for them as people. So pay attention to those things and really read them because those will help you build some background knowledge and help you understand Salva better and Naya better. And then the last one, what are the ways that an author can juxtapose two characters? This is a very fancy literature term. It's one of my favorite literature terms, but it's just a fancy way of saying a comparison. So when the author tells you something about Naya and her experience, what does that teach you about her? What does that show you about her experience? And is that comparable to what Salva's experience is? Is it different? And the same thing, when you learn some things about Salva, is his experience similar or different to Naya? So the more you learn about one character, the more it'll help you learn about the other, okay? So these are the questions that we're going to be working with. They're always going to be here in the stream, okay? And I also have posted a couple things that I want you to pay attention to. For example, our I can statements this week, okay? So we're going to be talking about those themes of culture and identity and how those things relate, okay? So your I can statement, your first I can statement for the week is I can determine the theme of the text and its development over the course of the text. So as we keep reading, you have to start thinking about how you could gather information that shows you about Salva and his identity or Naya and her identity and how their culture plays a factor in that. And the second I can statement is for you to analyze how the author develops and contrasts the point of view and perspectives of different characters. In this case, What is similar about Naya and Salva's experience? What is different about Salva and Naya's experience? Okay, something to think about. Today you have this article, sorry, this was for Monday. You had this article that you should have read. Some of you have it done, some of you don't. Some of you it came back to because it wasn't done, okay? And the first thing you're going to be doing today is taking this quiz. There's a reading quiz on chapters 1 through 3. Make sure that you're answering the questions. Please be honest, and please do not use your notes or your book for that. I'm trusting you with that. And then when you're finished with your quiz, you're going to go right to these notes. And I want to talk about these notes and complete the first ones together. So you only have them electronically, so you're going to be typing. I'm going to just make a copy of this real quick so I can hopefully type on this document. I apologize, bear with me for 1 second. Okay, so our directions are up here. And you should be able to type right into your document. When you click on that document and it seems to be like it's loading, go to your top right of your iPad and hit that share arrow and it should open in the dock. Sorry, it should open in your drive. Okay, so here are our directions up here. Briefly name some major events, refer to characters by name, explain the setting and the time, be clear about the order of events, what happens first, second, third. Okay, that's what sequence means. And then explain why characters do the certain things that they do. Okay, so I'm going to start with Naya and I'm just going to work myself through and I'm going to start with this bullet. Okay, and I'm just going to give a brief summary of what she does in chapter 1. And in chapter 1, Naya is walking to get the water for her family. Okay, the last bullet here asks you to explain why. So why does Naya do this? Why is it so important that she is the water gatherer? Well, this is what the African girls traditionally do. And if she doesn't go get the water, her family doesn't have clean water for that day. And you're going to find as you continue reading that she actually takes this trip 2 times in 1 day. So she starts in the very early morning, walks, gets the water, comes home, takes a break, gets some lunch, and then repeats the process. Our location, our setting and time is in the heading of every part of your chapter. When it starts to talk about Naya, you see that it says Southern Sudan, and her time period is 2008, and that's located in every header where she starts. Remember, her story is in the colored font. Okay. And we learned from her that the container is really light on the way home. Sorry, let me start over. The container is very light on her way to get water, but on the way home, it is not light because she's carrying so much water. Okay, so the container is light on the way, but heavy on the way back. Okay, I want you to add these notes to your chapter 1 as well. So I'll make them just a little bit bigger and then hopefully you can split your screen and start your typing. And then we're going to do the same. Oh, I'm sorry, one more thing. I really want you to pay attention to the page numbers that you find your information on because it will help you with an activity later this week. So all of that information about Naya her stories are really short, so they are pretty easy to just review real quick, and that happens on page 1. Salva's story is a bit lengthier. His starts on page 1, but it goes for a few pages. But I just want to start here and give a brief summary of what happens. So Salva is at school when his town is attacked by rebels, okay? They hear the gunfire while he's at school, remember that? And his setting, again, third bullet, is the same place. He also lives in Southern Sudan, but his time is different. He is in 1985. While he's at school, he's supposed to be learning an Arabic lesson, but he said he knew that lesson already, so he is daydreaming. He's dreaming about his family. He's thinking about herding cattle with his brothers. And he's thinking about the food that's waiting for him at home with his mother. And that all takes place on page 3 and 4 is where he kind of goes through and thinks about those things. And then he's brought back to reality by the gunshots, okay? And the very last thing that happens to him is that his teacher sends the boys to the bush, which is another word for woods, to try to protect them. Because if they were found in the village, they would most likely be kidnapped and forced to be soldiers for the rebel cause. So they want those boys to be able to get away and not be in a predicament where they could be kidnapped, okay? So your task for today, after you take that quiz, is that you're going to complete chapter 2 and 3 for Naya the same way that we did this. Remember, work yourself through the steps, okay? So you should never just have 1 or 2 things in this box. They should be full. And the same thing for Salva. Chapter 2 and 3, work yourself through these events and remind yourselves the big events that happen. Remember to include the page numbers because on Friday you're doing an activity where you're going to want to have these page numbers handy so you don't have to start all over again. Okay. And as always, if you have any questions, reach out through the Zoom link, Mrs. Oaks' Zoom link, and one of us will be there to help you. Thank you. Let me know if you need anything and have a great day.